though prices have seen a strong run-up in the current month, do you see it as bargain buying as the sector was oversold? Or do you see an actual demand growth story building up?
Well, I believe it's a combination of both. Certainly as far as China is concerned, China is the biggest consumer of commodities in the world, and particularly in the base metal space. They are price movers as a result of their buying potential. So traditionally they are very good at buying when prices are low, and equally pulling back from the market when prices are high. So, you know, the Chinese are very much aware of their status as price movers, and as a result, you know, we've seen prices rebounding over recent weeks as a result of greater Chinese buying. There's also been the issue of, I guess, improved economic outlook around the world. We've seen better numbers coming out of China. We've also seen better numbers coming out of Europe, particularly with respect to the German economy over recent weeks. So that is also having an impact, and base metals are key components of economic growth, and it seems as though the world is becoming a little bit more comfortable about the economic outlook.
Steel and iron ore prices also have seen a rebound from this year's low. Do you see a further run-up for them?
It's a really interesting one because there are a lot of pessimists out there in the market that were talking down the steel sector and the iron ore business, predicting lower levels of steel production and falling steel prices. You know, we can't look at one set of numbers and deduce a trend, but certainly I think what it does reinforce is that China's economic growth is still very stable. The steel industry is a major component of their economy. They're implementing their most recent 5-year plan, and I think the Chinese economy is moving along very nicely, and as a result of that, demand for iron ore is still very, very strong. BHP and Rio Tinto in Australia and Fortescue are selling as much iron ore as they can produce, and that's reflected in steel production numbers worldwide, not only in China but also recovering in Europe. So I think that paints a very positive outlook as far as the world economy is concerned.
The high commodity prices for most Asian economies, including India, is not good news. How much upsides do you expect from here for crude oil prices?
Well, certainly for oil producers, the situation surrounding the oil price has been a major positive. You know, prices have been certainly robust. Of course, on the flip side of that, it's not so good for consumers and industrial users. But the oil price has shown tremendous resilience over the last 6 months, and I believe that's going to continue. We're entering a period in the run-up to the Northern Hemisphere winter period where oil demand typically rises, and so I believe we're going to see prices in excess of $110 per barrel. On top of that, you've also got ongoing political instability in the Middle East, and I think you're going to see a greater risk premium factored into the oil price. So I think oil prices are going to show tremendous resilience during the second half of this year.
Gold prices are at an 11-week highs on sentiments that the Fed may not taper QE so soon. What are your views on this sector?
Well, I don't see the Fed easing off on or tapering any time soon. I see them continuing with their bond buying program. I don't have a lot of confidence in the US economic recovery as it currently stands. I think when you've got a situation where you're spending billions, even trillions of dollars in stimulus, it's going to generate some economic impact, and that's what we've seen in the US. But how sustainable is that growth? I think there's big question marks hanging over the sustainability of it, and what are the unintended consequences? You know, we're seeing a tremendous expansion of the money supply, and that has to have a big impact eventually on inflation and interest rates in the US economy. We're already seeing that interest rates are starting to have a negative impact on the housing sector in the US. So my view on gold is very bullish. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see the price climbing back above $1,500 over the coming weeks and even pushing higher. And of course there's a focus on the supply side now. With a low gold price environment, it puts a lot of pressure on margins as far as gold producers are concerned. So I think we're going to see higher prices.